All right, CM University, we're here with a special guest. We've got one of Coach D's advanced students, dude he's very, very proud of, very knowledgeable, very experienced dude. Brady, what is up, Brady?
What's going on? How are you? What's going on,
Good, homie.
Ravi?
Good, my man. We are building our company, building our movement, seeing a lot of green shoots, and we want to celebrate you today and learn more about you and the transformation you
Of
went on
course.
under Coach D's leadership. So we've got a few questions for you.
Yes,
All
go
right?
ahead. Be my guest, Ravi. Even though I'm your like guest in yours.
Of course, man. But we know a little bit about you. We know about your legend and a lot about the transformation that you went on and the passport bro journey that we're going to go into after this. Take us back to when you first really wanted to step up to the next level. You saw an elite mentor like Coach D, and you were ready to take the bull by the horns and do something, very
Of
few men
course.
will do. You
I
wanted to
remember it like it was
really
yesterday.
take
Oh
us
my
back,
God.
Brady.
So
What
many
was the
fucking
moment?
retarded times with this guy.
Yeah.
I was a solo gamer in New York by myself, and I would be gaming. I game an online game here and there, some day game approaches, but I was pretty much solo because I kind of like to be a lone wolf at that time. And we had a group back then called Game New York. And back then I would be posting, field reports and closes. And that's when Coach D was there as well, when we met a long time ago. And, back then, the Red Pill movement was super high at that time.
Yeah.
Where, they tell you to work on yourself and, get the money, get the high-rise apartment and, get the fancy watches and everything. And the girls flock to you. And, I guess that's what every man did back then when the red pill space was like getting pretty popular. Everyone wanted to, essentially have the Lambo pics and everything, just red pill max. And it was all bullshit. Like, I had a swimming pool in Queens.
Alright, I'm sorry,
Let's
man. I'm sorry.
go. Brady's
It's
going
true.
in.
It's true.
Go on.
And
Let's hear
I
it.
had a rooftop swimming pool in Queens. And, it's very hard to get a pool in New York, like your condo to have a pool. So it's kind of like, for the day-to-day person, it's kind of seen like, oh, damn. And, when you have these type of stuff and all this is like accessible to you, and then at the end of the day, these fucking girls don't come to you. They still don't give a fuck. They don't care like about your high-rise condo. They don't care about what you're wearing or nothing. Like it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. And I was thinking like, what the fuck? Like, excuse my language. I mean, I wasn't like such a beginner PUA at that time, but I was still like thinking like, damn, like I could be doing better. And then one day I bumped into Coach D in Soho and he was teaching and he was amazing front on. We clicked automatically and from there he was very respectful. We got along and he always invited me out and I always appreciate that and it was great. And then from there I noticed about Coach D's game, he was very masculine, very front on and very grounded and he didn't have the high-rise condos. He didn't have nothing. He was just himself. He was just being himself. It was an amazing game, and it was just very masculine, and girls loved it. He would grab girls' arms, and girls would follow him to the subway. He would pull. He would do Insta pulls, and he would fucking take girls from like Soho all the way to Queens, and
To
he
a
would,
fucking
eh,
box apartment.
to a box.
Shitbox, bro.
And Coach
Yep.
Coach D had like a box
Grimy.
apartment,
Roaches.
like. There's cockroaches on the floor, and they didn't care
Yep.
because,
Cockroaches in the kitchen. That's New York for
Yeah.
you.
and
Yeah.
they didn't care because, they loved Coach D's energy, they loved Coach D's vibe, and just the way he talked. And it just showed like, all this red pill stuff on work on yourself and everything doesn't really matter because without any groundness and any masculinity and, just being confident and, leading, it doesn't mean nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, from there, I started picking up with Coach D. I started learning from him and watching his game. And I took it, I, I would say I was like very adaptable. He broke a lot of my limiting beliefs. And, I just went front on with a lot of his game. So yeah, if that's a good start to put it.
For sure, Brady. And like, I love so much about what you share there, because what you're sharing is like really important wisdom and truth that we need to start to elevate this whole space. And the kind of masculine development that we're doing at CMU is under the premise that this space is very outdated. Yeah. This information,
Mhm.
yeah, the shit that is out there, yeah, it don't really
Agree,
work in the modern world. Yeah. It don't. So
agree.
dudes, exactly. Dudes like you advanced. Yeah, you got yourself to a real good level, of course, in your life, right? It's amazing. And definitely incredible case study for CMU. And as you know yourself, what is out there in this space is such a minuscule element of the entire menu of masculinity and all the things you can do as a guy to unlock your life and to see this whole thing differently, right? So
Thank
we
you.
got a little saying, it's a bit of a joke right now, hopefully, and it's always going to stay this way, but it's about self-improvement. And those deadlifts ain't going to save anyone. Am I right? They certainly did. Yeah. They ain't going to save anyone, right? So it is what it is. But listen, talking about your limits and beliefs, Brady, talk just a little bit about, because I'll certainly be curious to hear about this. What were some of the like biggest external results that you saw? And what's the internal shifts that you feel made that happen?
A lot of beliefs I had were related to high ego, according to Red Pill. I kind of thought like I was like, yeah, like I'm the best guy. I have making good money. I have a good career. I have a good like a cool apartment, and a lot of those stuff didn't matter because I wasn't really grounded. I wasn't really grounded as much. I wasn't as confident, and I was using a bunch of. I wouldn't say it's gimmicks, but it's like, when you're trying to like do extra stuff, like such as like paint a bigger apartment and having the swimming pool, it's gimmicky. Like, it doesn't mean shit. Like, excuse my language again, but yeah, the New York in me comes out.
Yeah. All right. I appreciate that, because we're going to go into this in the next segment of this, and we're going to talk a little bit more about how your core is really the most important part of this. But if someone is on the fence, right, because there's a lot of our audience are those who they're looking for the truth. They're looking for like a deep internal fix. They know it's more about fucking gimmicks, yeah, having the pool, all this external crap, yeah, which don't matter, because as you alluded to there, Coach D will pull them from Soho to the shitbox in Harlem, no problem, right? Roaches on the floor, all that, whilst the dude with the pool gonna get cucked and chucked and fucked and all the rest of that. So if someone's on the fence, right, and they need a bit of a wake up call, and they want to understand how CMU could potentially help them truly resolve this problem, what would you say to them?
So the one thing I would say is you really just got to be grounded, masculine, and within your own energy.
Mhm.
You have to find your own rhythm, and you do have to cut out all the BS and stop listening. You do have to go out and cold approach. You do have to game. It's
Yeah.
requirement. Stop using a lot of gimmicks. Even here in Thailand, it's quite funny because there's a lot of guys here in Thailand. They have their Instagram pages set up. They're in Dubai. They have the Lamborghini. They have that pic, like, where they're doing meetings and they look like kind of like successful. It's a classic POA pic. Everybody has it back then.
Yeah.
And these girls are like laughing at them. It's like it's a cope, like
Yeah, bro.
well, like a smelly Thai guy could come in and steal their girls. It's hilarious. But the one thing I would really give is you really just gotta be grounded and confident within yourself. Go
That's
out and
what's up.
code approach and you know, pay your taxes, pay your dues.
That's what's up. That's what's
Right.
up.
You have to. You have to. It's forever.
D, what you want to say about your former student here?
All right, here we go. I love this idiot like family. This motherfucker because he's such an angry dude, used to call me, oh my God, I hate women. Bro, what the hell is this? And he was like, I'm paying 4K for rent. I got a high paying ass job. I'm like, dude, like, bro, that really don't mean shit, bro. Tommy at Starbucks can take your shit because that's her preference.
hmm
So the only thing that you could do as a man is embrace your masculinity. Also, when I first met, yeah, Matt was very combative, but he respected me in a way that I was not afraid to stand up to him. It's kind of like when you sense another alpha male, you butt heads, but then you be like, okay, we're kind of both on the same page, but we're just coming
Yeah.
from different perspectives.
I
Yeah.
I never took it personal.
Yeah, I know you.
That's the
Me
one
either.
thing. I never took it anything personal. I always took it as constructive criticism.
Right. And
Yeah.
that's one thing I love about him because he was one of my top best 5 students. And the reason when I say why, so many times I would go out with this guy on the day or at night, literally, he's so masculine. He will say whatever he wants to the girl. He'd be like, yo, get the hell out of here, man. Let's get that coffee right now. What you talking about? I don't want to hear that BS. And just funny and goofy. They'll be like, he would show me his IGs and text numbers, literally back-to-back dates.
Yeah.
Just being a man, following what I'm telling him to do.
That's
Or
what's up.
being like, me and you're gonna go on a date now and take her hand and be willing to pass shit tests. And you know, I helped him develop into a man because I was telling him like at the end of the day, your fancy 4K apartment, your expensive job, you getting all these tattoos, that's gonna help you as a provider. But what really matters at the end of the day is being a man and being masculine. And this is another reason why I wanted our alias white CEO Romeo to hear about this
Romeo.
so he can understand what it means for him to develop himself as a man too when he's traveling the world. Because he would tell me, he would call me, be like, yo man, I'm in Korea, I'm in these countries, and he's the only guy in the club. Literally telling them, come over here, taking their hand, you know, making out, like, and everybody's watching him, be like, how are you doing this? And I told him, masculinity is the ultimate equalizer, that when you travel around the world, you're going to have the life that you want to have. So now his biggest struggle is basically finding a partner and a wife because, unfortunately, thanks to passport bros and the sim culture, like, literally, like, the fobbies of fobs or good women are starting to become tainted now, which is unfortunate. So, you know, I wish him the best, you know. I love him like family, and he did me proud, man. He shows me that masculinity is king and a core in our game.
That's what's up. That's what I'm talking about. So, CMU fam, this is an example of a guy who has lived in a very abundant life, is continuing to have a really interesting, successful life, which is what this is about. He's had an incredible journey. He's achieved tremendous amounts of outcomes and results, which is what CMU is about. This is not for men who don't want to strive to be their very best. We expect a lot from you. And Brady's a living example, man. He's a G. He's a hustler out there, and that's the standard that we set. And as you'll learn in our channel, Coach D's done this transformation with endless people, and we ain't gonna stop. And we're gonna expect excellence and performance from everyone who comes here, because you can do it if you do the method. You will achieve. And we're gonna wrap this segment up, right? So CMU fam, if that resonated with you, get in touch below. We have a range of different offers that can help you accelerate and really make the deep internal change and transformation that allow you to unlock abundance and get the identity level change that we're looking for. We've got an accelerator group, we've got a masculinity chat, and of course, we've got intensive transformational one-on-one coaching with me and D. But for those of you who've watched this video, we want you to like, follow, subscribe, join this movement, join this brotherhood. We're going to be making waves and shaking up this space, and your support is very much appreciated. Let's win, brothers. Peace.